Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Great you could join us again for our weekly update with Longwoods International. My name's Chris Adams and I look after research and insights at Miles Partnership. Delighted to be joined again by Amir Elon, President and CEO of Longwoods International, and we're taking a look at wave number 11, which, as you can see there, was in the field just over the last few days. A reminder, all of this research, the summary, and all the previous copies, along with webinar recordings, a rich range of other research and resources are all available on our COVID-19 Communications Center. Plus, you can pick up a two-page summary of each of those waves for insights and analysis. And with that, let me pass over to Amir. Amir, what have we seen in the research on wave number 11?
Thank you, Chris, and hello, everyone. Good to see everyone again. This week, I think the theme we can say for sure is that we're seeing baby steps moving forward, finally. The indicators that we've been cautiously optimistic about are being reinforced in several areas. So let's take a look at what that means here. We have several factors. First of all, we have this past week, 73% of travelers who were planning to travel in the next 6 months told us that they were either have already changed or in the process of changing their travel plans. Just about half, 49%, have reduced their travel plans in some form or fashion, typically from longer vacations to shorter weekend getaways and hops, so to speak. Just less than that, canceled the trip completely. One of the biggest movers is in those changing from a fly destination to a drive market destination. Then of course, most international travel has been canceled at this point. The beauty of tracking this every single week for the past almost 3 months is that we can see the trends. And directionally, we're moving in the right direction. We peaked out at about 85% changing their travel plans. We're now down to 73%. And you'll see in just a moment that the intentions to travel are getting closer and closer. So it's still a long way to go, but the baby step progress is there. We noted last week something that was happening, and I'm now happy to report that it is a trend. It wasn't just a blip. The volume of those who were reducing travel plans has now eclipsed the volume of those who have canceled their trips completely. And that is a really positive indicator for us right here. So it's no longer about, well, I'm just not going to go until somebody tells me I can. It's more about, you know what, let's just adjust our travel and figure out how to make this a go. Looking ahead, you can see also the directional increase in those changing to regional drive market type destinations. Folks are going to be driving mostly to wherever their getaways are going to be later this summer. As you know by now, every week we ask the same questions about the same 3 factors that could greatly impact travelers' decision to travel in the next 6 months. The transportation cost still remains pretty negligible. Concerns about the economy still remains low. I'll talk about that momentarily. And then, of course, the 500-pound gorilla in the room continues to be fear of coronavirus. But look at this. We saw this directional trending downwards from that peak of 67% on April 1. We got down to 54%, and then we saw a blip up again the prior week. But that was just as the about half the states were announcing their plans of early reopening, and there was a lot of angst and anxiety talking about the is that reopening too fast, too soon? But now, as we saw from this past week, as we got closer to the Memorial Day holiday weekend, things lined up again, and we're down to 53%. So that's the right kind of direction we want to see, and hopefully that continues moving forward. Again, the economic matters remains low, just hovering right there around 20% for the second week in a row, as you can see right there. And again, a combination of factors are causing that. It is the fact that fear of coronavirus is still slightly over 50%. So people, it's not just about about how much am I going to spend. It's about whether I go or not there. And then B, when you're traveling, you're changing your travel plans to shorter getaways, drive market versus long haul and so forth, for the most part, you're talking about a smaller expense. Those people who want to go, that pent up demand is there. They're going to figure out how to go. It's just, I got to go versus, I got to go with a budget. And then the $64,000 question we ask every week, are you going to travel in the next 6 months? And once again, we're seeing that 70%, it's kind of plateaued and hanging right around there. That bubble of pent-up demand still running into the wall of fear. I'm looking forward to the day where I don't have to make this gesture anymore. But it's still there. As you know, we also kind of ask a different question at the end of our surveys every week. This one is probably one of the most telling signs that we've seen when you talk about this pent-up demand and the beginning of its release. We asked the question about what's that first trip you are going to take. We asked these American travelers, what is that first trip you're going to take? And if you're going to take it in the next 6 weeks. While you can see, about 40%, 41% to be exact, said they're not going to take a trip for the next 6 weeks, you basically have about 48% of Americans saying they're going to travel in the next 6 weeks. What's it going to be? It's going to be drive travel, regional drive travel. Whether you're visiting friends and relatives, whether you're going to go take a leisure getaway and so forth. But there's also a significant amount of, the staycation, which is regional day trip travel. So before you start running out and thinking that the hotel rooms are going to all jump up to 85% occupancy in the next few weeks, just remember, a lot of this type of travel is day trip or the visiting friends and relatives, which only about half end up staying at paid accommodations versus crashing in the guest room for their aunt or cousin or college buddy's house. So it's not the big release we're looking for. It's not the one that's going to bring all the revenue back to our industry, but it is a big move forward in the right direction. And we're going to be asking this question actually again the next week, because we want to see if this is continuing and not just kind of a halo effect of that Memorial Day weekend. So that's my story. And I'm sorry, I had one more for you. I want to talk about the perceptions of safety in travel. We had this question on the last few weeks when we're talking about people's residents' sentiment towards opening up a community towards visitors. As you can see, we're still pretty much evenly divided on that, 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3 there. So still a lot of opinions to be swayed. That whole debate about pace of reopening and is it safe and fear of coronavirus and so forth. A little better numbers when you're looking at feeling safe traveling outside the community. But then again, you see that reinforcement once again, a very polarized public, even feeling safe to go to their own restaurants and retail stores in their own communities. So again, pent up demand, wall of fear. Let's blow through this and make it happen. Okay, that's my story. I'm sticking to it, and I'm gonna send it back to my friend Chris here and let him talk about it.
Yeah, I think this issue of confidence is critical. And so certainly both in the short and medium term, Amir, we're seeing obviously, some signs of recovery, but we need to address this consumer and traveler confidence. And I think that is obviously going to be driven by what happens with COVID-19, the health crisis over the coming weeks and month or two in terms of the trajectory of case numbers, etc. But it's also going to be efforts all the way from government through to destinations, through to tourism industry to address and build confidence. And that's everything from social distancing and health measures to cleaning and hygiene strategies and to the messaging around that. And making, of course, people feel welcome to travel. So I think all of this starts with locals, building that confidence to keep the locals out in your community. So that's
I think you're right. There's a really good point here. With that pent-up demand that's indicating they're going to be traveling in the next 6 weeks, working with local stakeholders to really make sure we get it right that first time, to leave that safety impression that it's worth getting back out again and traveling again. Because if it's not done right that first time they go travel, they're going to retreat and not travel again for a while.
Yeah, and I honestly think, Amir, that starts with just people feeling comfortable in their own community. If they're going to restaurants locally, if they're getting out and about and doing activities locally and feel comfortable doing that, they're going to be much more comfortable thinking about planning a trip. So, okay, so quick update there. We're going to be stepping back, aren't we, Amir, to every couple of weeks?
Yep, we'll have one next week for you, and then it's going to be every other week throughout the month of June.
Okay, and on June the 23rd, we'll get Amir back to be part of our Clarity in a Time of Crisis webinar series. We've moved those back to monthly, so it's Tuesday, June the 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern, and but we'll be in touch beforehand. Thanks so much for joining us today.